Hello and welcome to the Biological Anthropology lecture series. I'm Dr. Richard Jonathan O. Tadurin. Here we explore what it means to be human, biologically, evolutionarily, and behaviorally. Let's begin our journey into the science of humanity. Welcome to Module 1, Introduction to Biological Anthropology. In this module, we explore the foundations of the discipline, its subfields, methods, and the biocultural approach to understanding humanity. Biological anthropology is the branch of anthropology that studies humans as biological organisms within an evolutionary framework. It explores how we came to be the way we are, physically, genetically, and behaviorally, and how we continue to change. In essence, it asks three main questions. Where did we come from? How have we changed? And how are we still evolving? At its core, biological anthropology is guided by the principle that biology and evolution are central to understanding humanity. It treats humans not as exceptions in nature, but as part of it, an animal species with a long evolutionary history shaped by the same forces that affect all living things. Yet humans are also unique. We create culture, manipulate our environment, and pass knowledge across generations. This duality, being both natural and cultural, is what makes biological anthropology distinct among the sciences. The field's foundation lies in the study of human evolution. Biological anthropologists examine fossils of ancient humans and their relatives to reconstruct the story of our origins. They also study living primates, such as chimpanzees and gorillas, to identify the behaviors and adaptations we share with them. Through genetics, they trace ancestry and migration, revealing how populations diversified and adapted to different environments over millennia. Biological anthropology also encompasses the study of human variation, the biological differences among modern humans. These differences include body form, skin color, blood type, and genetic traits. Early physical anthropologists once misused these differences to categorize humans into races. Modern biological anthropology, however, rejects such typologies. It understands variation as a continuum shaped by adaptation, gene flow, and cultural behavior, not as fixed racial divisions. Another key focus is osteology, the study of bones and teeth. By analyzing skeletal remains, anthropologists can infer diet, disease, trauma, and even lifestyle. In applied contexts, this overlaps with forensic anthropology, which uses skeletal analysis to identify individuals and determine causes of death in legal investigations. The roots of biological anthropology can be traced to 19th century scholars such as Franz Boas, who challenged racial determinism, and Alois Hrdlicka and Ernest Houghton, who established its academic foundations. Later generations expanded the field to include genetics, primatology, and bioarchaeology, transforming it into a multidisciplinary science. Today, biological anthropology is more integrative than ever. It connects evolutionary theory, ecology, and cultural understanding to explain the full spectrum of human life, from fossil to genome, from ancient bones to modern behavior. It reminds us that every living person carries the story of evolution within their body, the legacy of survival, adaptation, and cooperation that defines our species. To understand what makes humans distinct, biological anthropologists often highlight 6 major evolutionary milestones, transformations that reshaped our anatomy, behavior, and ecological niche. These big events did not happen all at once. They unfolded over millions of years, each building on earlier adaptations. Together, they produced a species unlike any other, Homo sapiens. Let's walk through each event and see why it matters. Bipedalism, walking on 2 legs. The earliest defining feature of our lineage was bipedalism, the ability to walk upright on 2 legs. Fossil evidence shows that this adaptation appeared more than 6 million years ago, long before increases in brain size or tool use. Species like Sahelanthropus chidensis and Ororin tuganensis show anatomical hints of bipedal posture, while Australopithecus afarensis, famously represented by the skeleton Lucy, provides clear evidence of habitual bipedal walking. Why was bipedalism such a big deal? Walking upright freed the hands for carrying tools, food, or infants. It allowed early hominins to travel long distances efficiently, scan the environment for predators, and better regulate body temperature under the sun. Bipedalism changed everything, from the shape of the spine and pelvis to the way we give birth. It is the foundation of the human body as we know it today. Non-honing chewing, a new way of eating. The second major event was the development of non-honing chewing, a shift in how hominins processed food. Most primates have large, sharp canine teeth that sharpen against the premolars, a honing complex used for slicing and display. Early hominins, however, evolved small, blunt canines and thick enamel suited for grinding tougher foods. This adaptation suggests changes in diet and social behavior. Smaller canines reduce the need for aggressive displays and may reflect greater cooperation or pair bonding. It also signals a move toward foods that required more mechanical processing, seeds, roots, or other plant materials, which foreshadows later dietary shifts in human evolution. Material culture and tool use. The third event is the emergence of material culture, especially stone tools. Although occasional tool use appears in other primates, early humans took it to a different level. The oldest known tools, simple flakes and cores, date to 3.3 million years ago, predating the genus Homo. By 2.6 million years ago, early tool makers were producing more standardized Oldowan tools. Material culture is significant because it shows our ancestors manipulating their environment in new ways. Tools allowed them to butcher animals, extract marrow, crack nuts, and defend themselves. Over time, tool technology grew more complex. Acheulean hand axes, Mousterian flake tools, and eventually symbolic artifacts and art. Material culture is the first clear sign that human evolution was shaped not only by biology, but also by learned behavior, speech and symbolic communication. The fourth big event is the evolution of speech, a unique human adaptation. Although spoken language does not fossilize, several clues help us trace its origins. Changes in the hyoid bone, vocal tract, and brain regions associated with language suggest that earlier members of the genus Homo had some capacity for vocal communication. By the time of modern humans, complex language had become central to survival. Speech allowed humans to share information across generations, organize group activities, teach skills, negotiate conflict, and create symbolic meaning. It is one of the most powerful tools evolution has produced, one that made culture cumulative and adaptive. Hunting and cooperative behavior. The fifth event was the rise of cooperative hunting and a diet increasingly rich in meat. Early hominins started scavenging around 2.5 million years ago, but evidence of planned, systematic hunting becomes clearer among Homo erectus and later species. Hunting required communication, planning, social bonds, and division of labor, behaviors far more advanced than what is observed in other primates. Eating meat and marrow had nutritional consequences too. High-quality calories may have fueled brain expansion, while changes in dentition and gut size suggest evolutionary trade-offs shaped by diet. Hunting also strengthened social cooperation, the foundation of human groups today. Domestication, humans and their environments. The sixth and most recent major event is domestication, not only of plants and animals, but also, in a sense, of ourselves. Around 10,000 years ago, humans shifted from foraging to agriculture, domesticating species like wheat, barley, rice, cattle, and dogs. This transformed human biology. Diets changed, disease patterns emerged, and populations grew rapidly. Domestication also affected genes. For example, lactase persistence, the ability to digest milk as adults, spread in populations that domesticated cattle. Agricultural living increased exposure to pathogens, shaping immunity. In this sense, humans co-evolved with their domesticated environments. Culture drove biological change. These 6 milestones illustrate that human evolution is not a story of sudden leaps, but a tapestry of gradual changes, anatomical, behavioral, and cultural. Each event opened new possibilities. Walking upright changed our energy use, tool-making expanded our ecological niche, language made culture cumulative, hunting strengthened social cooperation, and domestication reshaped our bodies and societies. Understanding these events helps us see humans not as static beings, but as dynamic products of evolution, continuously shaped by the interaction between biology and culture. And in today's world, where technology, medicine, and climate are reshaping our lives, evolution is still happening. Biological anthropology is not a self-contained discipline. It is inherently interdisciplinary, drawing on multiple scientific fields to understand human evolution, variation, and adaptation. Because humans are shaped by both biology and environment, biological anthropologists must integrate knowledge from geology, paleontology, genetics, anatomy, chemistry, ecology, and even cultural anthropology. Each field provides a different piece of the puzzle, and only by combining them can we form a complete picture of our species. One of the most important partner disciplines is geology. To study ancient humans, anthropologists need to know not only what fossils represent, but also when they lived. Geologists help determine the age of fossils by analyzing rock layers, stratigraphy, and volcanic deposits. Techniques such as radiometric dating, paleomagnetic analysis, and sediment core sampling allow researchers to reconstruct ancient landscapes, climate conditions, and the environments early hominins inhabited. Without geology, human evolution would be a story without a timeline. Biological anthropology also overlaps closely with paleontology, the study of ancient life. Fossilized teeth, skulls, pelvises, and limb bones reveal how our ancestors moved, ate, and adapted. But fossils do not interpret themselves. Paleontologists provide comparative data from extinct mammals and primates, helping anthropologists distinguish shared traits from uniquely human features. For example, understanding locomotion in early hominins requires comparisons with both fossil apes and modern primates. Another major contributor is genetics. Modern genetic techniques have revolutionized the study of human origins. DNA extracted from living populations or from ancient remains can reveal migration routes, admixture events, and evolutionary relationships. Genetics shows how populations adapted to local environments, such as high altitude or scarce sunlight. It also helps debunk old racial classifications, demonstrating that human variation is continuous rather than clustered into discrete biological races. Genomics, mitochondrial DNA studies, and ancient DNA sequencing have all become indispensable tools in reconstructing human history. Anatomy and physiology also play vital roles. Understanding bones, muscles, and organ systems allows anthropologists to infer behavior from skeletal remains. A femur can reveal whether a hominin walked upright. A tooth can indicate diet. A healed fracture can show patterns of violence or caregiving. Knowledge of biomechanics helps interpret how early humans moved, while physiology explains how bodies respond to heat, cold, altitude, or disease. Even chemistry contributes significantly through methods like stable isotope analysis. Chemical signatures in bones and teeth can reveal what people ate, whether they migrated during childhood, and what water sources they used. Trace elements and isotopes act as time capsules, capturing details of ancient lives that would otherwise be invisible. Biological anthropology also works hand in hand with ecology. To understand why early hominins evolved certain traits, we must reconstruct the ecosystems they lived in: predators, prey, climate fluctuations, food availability. Ecological pressures shaped everything from bipedalism to brain size. Modern human variation also reflects ecological adaptation. Skin pigmentation, body proportions, and disease resistance all evolved in response to environmental conditions. Finally, biological anthropology remains deeply connected to cultural anthropology because humans do not evolve biologically in a vacuum. Cultural practices, including diet, technology, social structure, and mobility, shape selective pressures. The biocultural perspective, rooted in this interdisciplinary dialogue, reminds us that cultural behaviors can drive biological change. In short, biological anthropology is a collaborative science. It thrives on the integration of multiple fields, each offering tools and insights that deepen our understanding of who we are. This interdisciplinary nature is not optional, it is essential. Human evolution is too complex and human variation too intricate to be understood from a single perspective. Only by weaving together evidence from diverse sciences can we tell the full story of humanity. As we conclude this section, we can now see how biological anthropology builds a coherent narrative about human origins and diversity. We began by defining the field as the study of humans as biological organisms shaped by evolution, bridging fossils, genetics, anatomy, and primate behavior. This framework allowed us to appreciate that human biology cannot be understood without understanding change, slow, cumulative, and shaped by environmental pressures. We then explored the 6 big events of human evolution, each marking a turning point in our lineage. Bipedalism reshaped our bodies and expanded our range. Changes in chewing behavior reflected dietary and social shifts. Material culture and tool use signaled new cognitive capacities. Speech enabled symbolic thought and social complexity. Hunting fostered cooperation, planning, and higher quality diets. Finally, domestication transformed our genes, environments, and societies. Together, these events illuminate why Homo sapiens is biologically unique, yet still deeply connected to earlier hominins. We ended with the interdisciplinary nature of the field, recognizing that no single science can explain humanity. Geology dates our fossils. Genetics traces our ancestry. Chemistry reveals diet. Anatomy interprets form and function. Ecology reconstructs ancient landscapes. And cultural anthropology reminds us that human evolution has always been a biocultural process. This section shows that humans are not static beings, but products of millions of years of interaction between biology and culture. In the next section, we turn to the scientific method, the foundation that allows us to test hypotheses, revise theories, and build reliable knowledge about our evolutionary past. Thank you for joining this lecture. I'm Dr. Richard Jonathan O. Tadurin. I hope this session deepened your understanding of biological anthropology. Keep exploring what it means to be human. See you soon.